really tired of hearing words like disappointed, like disturbed, like I'm bothered, like I wish he wouldn't do it. It's time that somebody looks at the camera and looks at him and calls him up and says, listen, you crazy lunatic 70-year-old man baby, stop it.
Craziness and the way that he acts, and this is not in a vacuum, because it's not just the tariffs. It's the first thing he did was attack Panama, Greenland, Denmark, Canada, allies, Nicaraguan, Haitian, Cuban, and Venezuelan exile communities. And those are precisely the communities that have been the most targeted by these Trump policy changes and deportations, and the cruelty that is being exerted on the Latino and immigrant community is boundless. And I think it's gotten to a point where you just can't avoid it. You really have to try hard.
Ana Navarro didn't hold back. On a live broadcast that was supposed to be a routine political discussion, she took a sudden turn, and the bombshell she dropped sent shockwaves through the studio, the audience, and straight to Donald Trump's camp. What began as a panel discussion on immigration reform quickly turned into a no-holds-barred takedown of Trump's past, his presidency, and what she called his ongoing assault on the truth. And Trump? He lost it. Completely. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor.
When I first saw the tweet this morning, I was frankly disgusted. I thought to myself, this dude has got such a fixation with women and blood. What is wrong with him? And then you remember that this dude, this disgusting dude, is the president of the United States. And you realize just how much he is diminishing the presidency of the United States. You realize that what he is doing is not just acting for Donald Trump. He's acting for all of us. He's acting for our president. And he is embarrassing. He is shameful. He is disgusting. And I'll say this about Republicans. I'm really tired of hearing words like disappointed, like disturbed, like I'm bothered, like I wish he wouldn't do it. It's time that somebody looks at the camera and looks at him and calls him up and says, listen, you crazy lunatic 70-year-old man baby, stop it. You are now the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, and you need to stop acting like a mean girl because we just won't take it. We won't vote with you. We won't work with you. I can't start talking about tax reform. I can't start talking about healthcare reform because I can't get past the fact that we have a president who lacks the sufficient character.
Have you noticed that with everything going on with deportations, with everything going on in the Trump administration, have there been signs from this group of remorse?
Yes. Honestly, if it was Kamala Harris behaving this way, they'd call her hormonal and hysterical, right? Look.
Well, you'd have to get elected to be.
But, well, yes, and if she had been elected.
We have a president who is nasty. We have a president who is immature, unstable, and just acts like a crazy person with anybody who attacks him because he's got thin skin and he is never going to pivot.
We're talking about a man who hired undocumented workers for his own businesses, who built his empire on hypocrisy, and who turned around and demonized the very people he exploited. She pulled out a stack of documents, receipts, as social media later dubbed them, showing years of lawsuits, contractor disputes, and records linking Trump's businesses to undocumented labor. It wasn't just speculation. She had evidence. This is a man, she continued, who paid hush money to cover affairs, who incited an insurrection, and who now wants to pretend like he's the moral compass of the GOP? Please. Within minutes, the clip went viral. Millions watched as Navarro laid into Trump with surgical precision, her voice steady, her words sharp. She brought up Trump University, the classified documents scandal, his infamous comments about very fine people on both sides. She called him the most dangerous con man to ever enter the Oval Office and warned that if the American people don't wake up, he'll do it all over again, only worse. The response from Trump's camp was almost immediate. Trump took to Truth Social within the hour, posting in all caps, "Ana Navarro is a low-rated nobody. She's jealous, angry, and fake. Sad." He followed it up with a barrage of reposts, rants, and retweets, claiming she was spreading fake news and was part of the deep state media mob. But unlike some previous critics, Navarro didn't back down.
You are now the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, and you need to stop acting like a mean girl because we just won't take it. We won't vote with you. We won't work with you.
With these tariffs, again, went in with a sledgehammer, caused fear, destruction, distrust, when it could have been done with a scalpel in a strategic way. That's just not the way he operates.
It pisses me off so much because, you know, you are supposed to care about other human beings, even if they're not your friend or your colleague or your neighbor. You are supposed to care just because you're supposed to care out of humanity.
And then you remember that this dude, this disgusting dude, is the president of the United States. And you realize just how much he is diminishing the presidency of the United States.
When a Trump-aligned commentator tried to dismiss her live on the same program the next day, she came back fiercer. "I don't take lessons in ethics from people who defended putting kids in cages," she snapped. "You want to talk about truth? Let's talk about how this man built a cult, lied about a stolen election, and watched from a private room while his followers stormed the Capitol. That's your hero?" What made Navarro's attack so devastating wasn't just her passion, it was the precision. Every point she made was backed up by public record, video footage, or court documents. She wasn't speculating. She was confronting. Brutally. Publicly. On live television. And the American public was eating it up. Twitter exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Anna exposes Trump and hashtag Navarro unleashed began trending within hours. Political commentators couldn't believe what they were seeing. One CNN contributor called it one of the most fearless live takedowns of Trump I've ever seen. Another on MSNBC said, "Navarro did what many in the media have been too afraid to do." She called out Trump's lies without hedging or euphemism. Trump, meanwhile, went into damage control mode. His spokesperson released a formal statement condemning Navarro as an unhinged leftist who doesn't represent real Americans. But the problem? Ana Navarro has long identified as a Republican. A conservative. Someone who once supported parts of the GOP platform until, in her words, Trump turned it into a circus. And that's what made this so explosive. This wasn't a liberal Democrat slamming Trump. This was a former Republican insider turning on him in front of millions, live, with facts in hand. The betrayal cut deep for Trump, who reportedly screamed at aides, demanding they get Navarro off the air. Sources inside his Mar-a-Lago circle claimed he threw his phone across the room when he saw the trending clips. But Navarro wasn't done. Later that week, she appeared on a late-night show and doubled down. "You don't get to lie for 4 years, try to steal an election, and waltz back into public life like nothing happened. Not on my watch." The crowd erupted. She had become more than a commentator, she was now a full-blown resistance icon. Calls for Navarro to write a book, Run F.